Okay, welcome. Who are you? What are you? And why were you here?
Oh, thank you for having me here. I'm Sakari Nahi from Finland.
Finland.
Yes, and I'm a founder of a company in Finland. I'm a developer by identity, but when Windows Azure came out a little bit over a decade ago, me and a friend of mine decided to kind of start a company that focused on this cloud computing. It felt to us that it wouldn't make sense in the future for companies to take care and administer their hardware if they could focus on the software. Yeah. And that's what I am, and glad being here.
So, and you had an interesting talk, because your talk started with analyzing the sponsors of Azurefest. Can you give a small recap on what your intention was on analyzing them?
Of course. So, first, Azure, our company, designs, builds, and supports applications on Azure. That's all we do.
Yeah.
And we are in Finland, and in Denmark, and in Belgium. Okay. And I'm here because I'm very interested in Netherlands, right, as a CEO. And we don't have a lot of funds. We don't have any external ownership or funding as a company. So whatever we do, it's with the income funding. All the shareholders, of which we have 60, are employees of Azure. So I came here, I spoke with Pascal and Marco, the organizers of the people of this event, and they said I have free hand with the keynote. And lately, this year especially, I've been looking at news, and I've been a little bit concerned about the state of Europe, and especially Finland isn't doing too hot. If you look at the growth of GDP, the inflation, the interest rates, of course this started with the war in Ukraine. So when I'm speaking of these things in our company, I try to tell my people what's going on, kind of to let them have some visibility into what I'm thinking, but also if they don't have time to follow those kind of news, or maybe they're not that interested, then
you're going to help them.
Yeah, then they can decide, hey, what's good for my life? Yeah. What's appropriate for my family? And when I've done these bits, not too often, but sometimes internally, they really like them, because that's given them some perspective into, what's around the technology, which we are passionate of, but there's a whole world that dictates what can we do in the future. Yeah. And I started the talk with a short segment on what's the economy of Netherlands and Europe looking, and that should help the people here hopefully make good decisions on their career in the future.
Yeah, you talked about how the sponsors and the employee growth within the companies, more or less, and more or less and more.
Yeah, less and more. Yeah, I had some examples. I asked yesterday from local people, what are the companies that are respected? And many of the companies are sponsors of this event. Yes. Unfortunately, fortunately. And I dug up some information from LinkedIn that showed me the headcount changes during the last 6 months, year, and 2 years. Yeah. And it's clear that the current economic situation is impacting the hiring decisions of companies, and I wanted to kind of make it clear to people in the room that, okay, this is a concrete thing. It's not that DNB forecast GDP to be what next year, but there's this connection to our lives. That's a daily thing.
And then you talked about technology, because AI, especially AI, JetGDP, and that's also now more or less influencing the decisions of those same sponsors, I think. Yeah. And that's what I learned from your keynote, at least. Or did I misinterpret?
No. I think you. I don't know the sponsors. I don't have any connections in companies in Netherlands. But I personally have been looking at the GPT and large language model market for a while now, and there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at it that it's like Microsoft marketing and it's hyperbole and it's not gonna change the dimensions of our life. And I tried to kind of open up the whole picture that this natural language processing is actually impacting the future of our children in the way that, hey, would you recommend your child as a lawyer, an accountant, a doctor, or a developer? And we went through some of these career opportunities for our kids, kind of, and I gave my thinking on, okay, what's the future? What could be one future for these kind of roles and know-hows?
I liked it because you asked a question to the audience. What do you think of AI? Is it a hype or is it impacting us?
Is it disruption? Yeah.
And a lot of people answered, no, it's a hype. Or at least they didn't thought it is a big impact. Do you think it's an assumption? Do they hope it's not that impact, or do they want it not to be an impact?
I think
I think it's undeniable that AI and ChatGPT and you showed a lot of examples in your keynote is part of this world and part of our future, our coming future.
That's what I thought because our company only does Azure, so we only do Microsoft. So if Microsoft starts doing something that I couldn't find any sense in, that might be alarming for my people, right? So I follow Microsoft quite closely, and when they started investing in OpenAI and looking at that, I wasn't convinced. I've been in the field for 20 years, and I know the feeling of someone saying, "Oh, this is the next big thing," and I know I'll automatically go, "Please." There's no silver bullet. It's gonna be about people anyway. It's not. There's not gonna be a fix that fixes everything, and neither is generative AI that kind of fix. But at the same time, it's something more than just a technical phenomenon. And that's what I tried to show with the studies, and that's what I tried to show with the acceleration and some thoughts from people who aren't technically minded, who are philosophers or historians. And I kind of tried to give this view to people here that, okay, this might not fix the world, but it is something else than new version of BizTalk, as I referred.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
I like the way you said, if your boss asks you has it impact, then you have to ask why.
Yeah.
And 5 times, something like that.
Yeah.
and I like that because that is what you have to do with, for example, with AI and artificial intelligence. You need to ask, why do I need it? Exactly. Is the result correct, or how does the model work? Because you said that in a small bison. Not
It is such that I see a lot of those kind of cases where the hype for this generative AI and GPT and maybe Palm or Llama or other models has become so big that some companies are swept in it, and the leadership team's like, okay, we gotta have this. We gotta have this. We gotta mention AI so that we can sell our product or services. And I think deeply that that's the wrong way to look at it. The right way to look at it is if someone from the business says, hey, you gotta do this, it's your job as a technical enabler or a thinker to ask why. And if there's no clear answer, if it's only a marketing reason, maybe that's enough. But then let's explicitly decide, this is a marketing decision and there's nothing else. But what I've seen, it can be something else, but it's not gonna replace the machine learning or the other ways of doing computing either. So nothing we have is gonna disappear. So people don't have to be afraid of that either.
No. So should the biggest takeaway for the people be, whatever happens with AI, you are not needed. you are also needed. You are also valuable, still valuable on other places, but not especially because you had also mentioned no code and low code. The promise is all for the last 10 years or so, 20 years perhaps. I'm 30 years in the business, so and I started with Power Builder and Uniface, which were 4th generation languages.
Nice.
And that are the old school power tools, because it was meant that the business could program their own applications.
Yes.
But they still couldn't do that.
Visivik, what you see is
what you get.
Yeah.
And it's still not, and that's over the period of 30 years. So
I know.
Will that also get with AI, or it will probably go as exponential?
So,
don't you see?
I think it's a difficult question because there's pressure on the organization to be aware of changes and react to them. And there's also pressure on the individual to keep ahead and abreast of the changes in the ecosystem. Now, we can't read news every day and get deep into any. These are too deep stacks to understand every detail of. So that's not something we can do. But with a versatile team of people, you can talk with fairly and honestly. Like, they have different viewpoints and dimensions. Some of them maybe have like technical capability to understand what the OpenAI GPT model is about. Someone else understands user experience, and someone else understands data security. And then you're like pushing the group forward by being a mindful professional, not a person who spends all the free time on a computer because you have a family you love, right? This is just work after all. But so there's some pressure on the individual, and it should exist. An individual professional cannot just not investigate a new thing. So they have a responsibility. But the organization around them, the workplace, it has, I think, a larger responsibility of making that understanding available and give them time to gain some of that understanding. But it's like, there's a gray area. Like, people are different and organizations are different, and for some one method works and for the other it doesn't.
That's completely
it's
correct.
A big question.
And in your conclusion at the end was you needed a team.
A versatile
team
with psychological
that's the word
safety.
I was looking for.
That's right.
A versatile team you need, but you also need a healthy environment, or a fear-free environment. That's how you called it.
Psychological safety is the term, and there the point is to have disagreeable opinions with other teammates and seniors. There's a lot of fear of juniors not saying their opinion because there's a person with 30 years of experience, like,
I know.
I'm intimidated here, so what can I say that you don't know about? So it's a difficult thing in our industry, I think. It's a real problem, and it's very difficult to fix.
And is it only in developers, or do you think the team should also be sales, marketing, business, developers, or just developers?
I think all. I think a healthy organization cannot succeed if, for example, a person in sales cannot tell the sales lead that we are doing this wrong. Now, it's okay if they don't agree, and the sales lead says, no, we're going to do it my way. And the salesperson will say, okay, I just want it on record, I disagree, and they say, let's go forward. And if they learn later it was the wrong way, they're going to pivot and do it differently, right? So for me, that's a big thing.
And so versatile team is also all expertise together. And especially if you're running a new business.
It's becoming more and more important. And in smaller companies where the teams are smaller, like let's say there's 2 people in a team, and they're like, oh, I gotta be a UX and data expert and DevOps engineer and security. You can't be everything, right? And that's just, everybody's gotta understand that too. The company that hosts that small 2-person team, the company cannot expect these two to deliver the kind of things that they could expect from 5 specialists, right?
Yeah, the 5, no more than 1.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're, there's a Dutch saying, if you want to be everything for everybody, you are nothing for nobody.
Yeah.
So
agree with that. I might be secretly Dutch.
How do you see the future? Do you think it's scary, or do you think it's just a new hype or a new wave? Or
of course, there's gonna be a new hype. You know it. Like large companies gotta sell, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be a new hype. It's built by marketing. But while there's new hypes, some of them are more factual, and some of them are just marketing and sales effects and efforts by large sales organizations. I see the future as a very exciting opportunity. Like
not a scary opportunity.
No, it's scary in the sense that I believe that my skills that I personally have gathered and that I value aren't necessarily a fit. So I'm afraid I'm gonna have to change.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm excited that I'm gonna get to learn and do some new stuff. Like there's plenty of old stuff or things I do in my daily life that I'd rather not do.
Yeah.
So it would be like, I could get rid of some of them.
Yeah. So indeed, so you look at the future and say, okay, a lot of the stuff I do now, I don't want to do, and it can be automated or it can be replaced by robots or
exactly
and others.
Exactly.
And I can do the fun stuff.
We can, the fun or the meaningful.
We
can do the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Things that we know, okay, this can't be automated. This is about us people having a better quality of life or something. And this is, you go to home after that work day where you've done something like that, you're like, oh, had a great day, made an impact,
Yeah.
Someone looked at me like I meant something.
Yeah. So that's your future. And how do you see your future for sure for your own company? Will it grow bigger or will it go smaller, or what is what?
So sure, the plan is to grow bigger. The plan is to grow in a controlled manner. We are quite strict with the hiring. We want to be the highest quality digital problem solver.
Yeah.
And that starts with the recruitment. And we are very strict with that. I don't want that to change. I don't want to get external funding, because with external funding you need to grow faster.
Yeah.
And now in this economy I spoke of about countries not growing next year and interest rates high and these kind of things, I'm not sure how fast we can really realistically grow. So maybe we're gonna grow a little bit slower, but I'm okay with that.
You grow a little bit slower, but you get a little bit better.
That's what I would like to think. Yeah. The quality we deliver and the people how they're doing, and also the brand. And if we are known for good stuff, then that's the biggest point. That's the main thing. Yeah.
And for your employees, of course, because
totally
you rely on your employees, and your employees
100%
rely on you.
I hardly deliver anything these days. I'm just a useless sack of something that does speeches like this.
You are the marketing.
Oh.
No.
That hurt, man. You can. So you can slowly look at that part of the video and just see me dying inside. You are, sir, you are correct.
No. I think, and I think that's generally for everybody who is of a certain age and in a certain experience.
Yeah.
Their experience is important for others to learn and to grow. Because if you know what you not can do, what you can't do, so you rely on others and give others the feeling to be important, and I think
that's how it should be.
That's how it should be. Yes.
It's just very difficult to feel less useful technically that I was used to. But I see where you're going for, and I thank you for those words.
Everybody is important.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that versatile team.
Yeah,
you talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you a lot. It was a great talk. If you didn't see it, you missed something. Then you had the beer at this conference. And thank you. Perhaps in the future we see us on another event. And you never know how a cow catches a bunny.
That would be lovely.
Thank you.